boys and girls. It is Tuesday and it is story time. And so we are going to read a story. So can you do this with me? I have 10 little fingers. They all belong to me. I can make them do things. Do you want to see? I can put them up high, I can put them down low. I can fold them together and hold them just so. Good job. Now we are ready to look and listen to our story, Caps for Sale. In this story, there is a man who sells hats. Let's read. Once upon a time, there was an old peddler man who sold hats, and he carried his hats all up on top of his head. First, his own checked cap, then the gray, then yellow, then blue, and the red ones on top. He would walk down the street very straight, and he would say, "Hats for sale, hats for sale, 50 cents a hat." And one morning, he wasn't selling any of his hats. So he kept walking and shouting, "Hats for sale, hats for sale, 50 cents a hat." But nobody was buying. So he decided to sit by a tree and rest. So he sat down carefully and made sure all his hats were on top of his head. And then he went to sleep. And he slept all afternoon. And when he woke up, he was feeling refreshed. But before standing up, he reached up to his head and all his hats were gone except for his own checked cap. He looked around the tree. He looked to the left and to the right, and he looked behind him and in front of him, but he couldn't find the hats until finally he looked up. And what do you think he saw up in the tree? A bunch of monkeys, and on top of every monkey's head was one of his hats. Uh-oh, those monkeys took all those hats. All the brown ones, all the yellow ones. Oh my goodness. So he looked at the monkeys, and the monkeys looked at him, and he didn't know what to do. So finally he said, "You monkeys, you give me back my hats." But the monkeys only shook their fingers and said, "Tee, tee, 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 tee." This made the peddler angry. So he took both his hands and he shook them and he said, "You monkeys, you give me back my hats." And do you know what the monkeys did? They said, "Ee, ee, 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 ee." But they didn't give back his hats. Now he felt so angry, and he stomped his foot and he said, "You monkeys, you give me back my hats." And do you know what the monkeys did? Those crazy monkeys just won't give those hats back. Oh, by this time, he was very, very angry. He stamped his feet and he shouted and he shook his fists and yelled, "Give me back my hats!" And the monkeys just said, "Yee, yee, yee." Oh, finally, at last, the peddler man became so frustrated that he pulled off his own hat and he threw it down and he began to walk away. But just then, do you know what happened? All of the monkeys took off their hats. And threw them down. Down came the red hats, the blue hats, all the hats came down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his cap, put his hat back on his head, and then stacked up all the yellow, all the blue, and all the red hats. And he put them back onto his head and walked back yelling, "Hats for sale! Hats for sale! 50 cents a hat!" The end. Did you like that story? I like that story. You have, at home, you have the story too, and you can read it. Hats for sale. 5 hats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 hats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 hats. 1, 2 hats. 1 hat. Uh-oh, the monkeys took my hats. I can take out my markers and I can color all the hats. Have fun. Bye-bye.